for Community for Free, a community service of 1420 KRIZ and 1620 KYIZ. Lines are open for your conversation at 206-325-1420 and 206-329-7881. Good morning. It is a Tuesday, November 13th, day of the month of June. Frank P. Bauer here at 1420 KRIZ. 1620 KYIZ, streaming live on the Simple Radio app. Carry us there wherever you want to go, 24 hours a day, loud and clear, my dear. Yes, it is. Well, into your Tuesday. Thank our guest yesterday on the show, Miss D. Charlene Williams of the Central Area Chamber of Commerce, talking about the Juneteenth celebration this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Pratt Park. That's the 34th annual Juneteenth International Celebration. Lessons from the past, inspirations for the future. Also, we had on the guest yesterday, Joaquin Garrett, talking about the efforts of many others, community groups and developers getting together to keep the Central District, keep some folks in the Central District. They're working on the Liberty Bank building area there, and yesterday they're going to have low rent apartments there, plus other things. And we'll hope to get them back on as we roll on throughout the summertime to get more information on that. But as I promised, we have guests this morning. And I grabbed the Seattle Medium newspaper, and I see an ad. It says the 2017 Juneteenth Power Lecture this Saturday night, 6 to 9 at the Goodwill Missionary Baptist Church. And brother there, Dr. Umar Johnson, yes, will be speaking. Interesting there. And I have the doctor on the line this morning. Good morning, doctor. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, sir. So you're coming to town on a Saturday for an event and for the 2017 Juneteenth Power Lecture at Goodwill Missionary Baptist Church. Dr. Umar Johnson, yes, internationally known. A lot of people talk about you. I checked you out on the internet. Man, it's powerful stuff there. And you bring it all to Seattle. So one review from one of your lectures there, and the sister was up and down, up and all around, but she still loved what you were saying. And we hope that the people that come see you this Saturday night will do the same. And let's see. What I want to ask, I know that a lot of people know about you, but tell us about your background and such.
Certainly. I'm a doctor of clinical psychology. I'm a certified school psychologist. And basically what that means is I evaluate children to determine whether or not they have learning disabilities and if the extent of that learning disability requires special education.
Oh, man.
Basically said, I've been spending the last 20 years trying to educate black parents about what exactly special education is and what it is not, because so many black parents believe that special education is a solution, but the truth of the matter is it's causing way more problems than it is solving, and it is the chief reason for why we have a school-to-prison pipeline in the first place.
Well, one of my pet peeves has always been the special ed departments at schools, and I had one of the superintendents a couple of years ago in the studio with me, and I made the comment that it's an industry, and you should have seen the look on her face, like, why did you say that? I think the school districts have the special ed departments there so they can get more monies from the state and the feds. And you've been working.
Well, that's absolutely correct.
Yep,
that's
okay.
Absolutely correct. Special education is a business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, officially, it's a federal law that was created by an act of Congress in 1975 to give children with disabilities an opportunity to learn in the public school setting. Prior to the 70s, systematically around the country, different school districts would discriminate against children with disabilities as they did against black children. They would simply say, we don't have the resources to educate your autistic child. We don't have the resources to educate your blind child, your deaf child, your mentally retarded child, your reading disabled child. We don't have the resources to educate, so you're going to have to keep them home or find a school that can meet their needs. Well, that was considered a violation of the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law. And that's what gave birth to special ed in 75. However, it became a loophole. Special ed has been used as a loophole for these past 40 years to re-separate black children from white children, because now you have an excuse other than race. Instead of saying we're not letting these black kids into the school because they're black, you can now say we're not letting these black kids into the school because they have ADHD, or they have a behavior problem, or they're mentally retarded. So special ed has basically been used to undo the gains of Brown versus the Board of Education.
Guest this morning on the line, thanks for his time, the Dr. Umar Johnson. He'll be in town on a Saturday at the Goodwill Missionary Baptist Church, 6 o'clock. And thanks you, Doctor, for your time. Now, you mentioned the prison to school pipeline, and I also want to ask you about the ADHD, what that's all about. But the school to prison pipeline, it starts early. It really starts early, and my theories, and you can, well, doubt it or not, sometimes when it comes to this pipeline, and we see the amounts of teachers we have, very small African-American teachers in the Seattle area now, and where you are, it could be quite maybe different, but we have these teachers that sometimes they're scared of our young men. We know some of our black youth are big at the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A little pretty white teacher scared of the student, and she wants to, move that student on, or I'm scared, and so we find that student being placed in special ed or sent home or whatever. Parents, as you warn the parents, they got to be cautious, because sometimes these teachers have an agenda of their own.
Well, we have to understand something. When schools allegedly integrated in the 50s, and I say allegedly because 95% of all black children in America still attend schools that are predominantly African American. So there was never a desegregation movement in America, only on paper. But when they integrated the schools beginning back in 54 with the Supreme Court decision, one thing that has to be understood is they only integrated the students. They never integrated the teachers. In other words, they took black children from predominantly black school districts and brought them into white school districts, but they did not bring the black teachers who cared about them with them.
Yes, sir.
So our children were suddenly thrust into a racially hostile learning environment, and they were stripped of the black teachers who they knew cared about them. And I don't think enough has been done or said about the fact that during that school desegregation period from roughly 54 to 74, black teachers were excluded from playing their part in the desegregation campaign.
You broke it down nicely. I could have said it any better. What ADHD now? What is it? What is it? We hear a lot about it.
Certainly. ADD. Originally, it was ADD.
ADD, okay.
1980. Yes, it's ADHD now.
Right.
It was changed in 87, but in 1980, the American Psychiatric Association, under the influence of the publicly traded Wall Street drug corporations, came up with this new diagnosis, attention deficit disorder. Now, up until 1980, it was considered normal childhood behavior to be inattentive at times, to not be paying attention, to not be on task. It was considered normal behavior. But beginning in 1980, they would basically criminalize, or categorize inattention in children. Now, I know that when we were children and we have children, being inattentive is a part of being a child. They have to be taught how to control that function.
I remember my childhood, yes.
Exactly. It was made a disease.
Yep.
So in 1987, it went from attention deficit disorder to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And the reason they added what I call the unholy H is because there's no drug that can make your child pay attention. So the drug companies were losing money off of a purely attention deficit disorder because there's no drug that can make you pay attention. The drugs can only slow down the brain, which means they can only target hyperactive behavior. So they renamed it attention deficit hyperactivity disorder to justify drugging all of the black boys in America. And the irony and the hypocrisy of this is we live in a country that has spent over $1 billion on a so-called war on drugs. And at the same time that the country spends billions of dollars and locks up millions of black men under the disguise of a so-called war on drugs, they are literally hooking millions of black boys onto drugs in the name of miseducation every single day.
Well, now, why not a problem for our black young ladies with
Excellent question.
Okay.
The reason why it's not as big, and the girls are catching up,
right.
But the reason why ADHD and conduct disorder and oppositional defiant disorder talk on all of this Saturday in Seattle, but the reason why it's not such a big problem for girls is because boys are the enemy. In other words, public education is ran by women. Mm-hmm. Public education is probably in nursing are the two institutions in America that are still predominantly female. Teaching is a female institution. So when boys come into the school, white boys included, they can have a difficult time adjusting in a culture that is suited for girls. For example, a girl can sit still for 7 hours. A boy cannot. When a girl goes through puberty, she begins to develop large amounts of estrogen. Mm-hmm. What do girls do during those years? They sleep. They're tired. When their body begins to metamorph them into a female, they sleep a lot. When boys go through puberty, what do? In contrast to girls, we get excessive energy when we're becoming men. We cannot sit still. We need to run. We need to climb. We need to tackle. We need to do something. The problem is the schools are ran by females. So they can cater to the female child because they were once female children, but they don't understand the male child. Add race into this issue. You now have the black boy who is twice discriminated against. He's discriminated against first because he's a male in a female-dominated institution, and then he's discriminated against again because he happens to be black in a white-dominated institution. So in essence, the black male child is being blackmailed by public school.
Guest this morning is Dr. Umar Johnson. He'll be in town on Saturday night at the Goodwill Missionary Baptist Church, on 15th Avenue in Seattle. Doctor, now, I mentioned, as a start of the show, I mentioned the Juneteenth celebration. And we see that America and black America has faced a lot of things. We are celebrating now the 152nd Juneteenth emancipation. And some of the challenges are the same from day one. What do you got to say?
Well, here's the thing. We made a very big mistake during the last presidential administration, and that would be President Barack Hussein Obama. Black America made a mistake that our grandchildren are going to be suffering from. And that mistake was simply this. Since the beginning of our sojourn in these United States, August 21st, 1619, when the first of our ancestors were brought here as enslaved Africans. Of course, we were here before that, but as enslaved Africans, that began in the 13 colonies in 1619. And of course, in 2 years, the summer of 2019, we'll be actually celebrating our 400 years of struggle in the United States. But for those 400 years, every single president for 400 years had to hear protests from black America. Mm-hmm. Whether it was George Washington, whether it was Bill Clinton, whether it was Ronald Reagan, whether it was Richard Nixon, whether it was Harding, Roosevelt, whomever it was, they had to hear about the black agenda from black leadership. Barack Obama was the first president in American history that black people did not protest or challenge to make gains for them. And as a result of staying silent in 8 years, mind you, those very same 8 years, we saw a brand of white racism come back on black America that we hadn't seen since the 60s.
Yeah,
but during those 8 years, all those police murders, all those losses in politics, all those losses in education, employment, wealth ownership, we sat down and folded our hands because we considered the success of one man, the political success of one man, we considered it to be more important than the lives of 40 million black people. And what we failed to realize was by taking our agenda off of the table for Obama's convenience, we, in essence, set a precedent where every president after Obama also has the right to ignore the black reality.
Don't ask no questions, tell no lies, ask no questions, and we see what we got. Now, we have callers complaining about President Obama. He's long gone, out of office, but are they doing the same thing to Agent Orange or Number 45? I don't know what you call him, but anyway, we got names on this show for Donald Trump. But Dr. Johnson, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm quite sure it's going to be a fiery event this Saturday night at the Goodwill Missionary Baptist Church. 6 to 9.
Oh, yes, indeed. And,
yes, sir. You know,
we do want the people to know that 17 and younger, all children are free to the event. 17 and younger, right. All the children are free, and the doors do open up at 4:00.
Right. You know, we could go for a long, long time about the Get Out movie. I could ask you about that. And there's one thing that you know, we don't talk too much about interracial marriages on this show, because this is interracial marriage city. But there was one video where you were saying if you were dating or married to non-blacks, you can't work at your I guess the university or school wherever you are.
The Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy,
right.
Which is the school for boys that I'm in the process of building. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And the reason why I am not a supporter of interracial marriage, and there's three quick reasons. Number one, marriage is an economic institution. It's economic. So when a black man marries outside of his race, in essence, he is investing his livelihood into the race of his wife. How does it benefit Black America for so many black men to be taking their wealth and their income and their retirements and their pensions and giving it to a people who have already taken enough from us, Black America? I'm
going to hold it right there, because I know you got number 2 and 3, but you said enough on number 1. Doctor, I got to go, okay?
Yes,
but Saturday night should be a great event, and we want to thank you for your time this morning. And as you said, we could go for another hour on some things, but we're into a time slot here, and we've got to roll on. But thanks very much, Doctor, and you have a good one, and see you in Seattle Saturday, okay?
You too. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. 1420 KRIZ, 1620 KYIZ. We are on the Simple Radio app. A lot of things to be said there, and a lot of comments there to roll. And you can make your comments there about what the doctor said, and many other things at 206-325-1420 or 503-770-8725 here at 1420 KRIZ and 1620 KYIZ. More to go on Community Potpourri. Frank P. Bauer here. Right after the break, we'll be right back.